This week, we're walking with Jesus through Holy Week. We've already gotten a taste of just how much Jesus and the religious authorities were coming into conflict. We saw it when Jesus turned over the tables of the money changers, and we saw it when Jesus answered the question of the religious authorities about his authority. Today, Jesus gives the scribes yet another poke in the eye. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas. And this is your daily devotional for Wednesday, April 16th, 2025. We all know and love the story traditionally called the widow's mite. Interestingly enough, it appears only in Mark and Luke, and both of these gospel writers place it as one of the events that takes place after Jesus arrives in Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, but there's no indication about what day it occurred. Doesn't really matter, so I've chosen to talk about it today. The problem with this story, like so many others, is it's such a great story, so immediate and so memorable, that we forget to place it in its larger context. And this is one that, when we place it in context, the depth of meaning only increases. In both Mark and Luke, the story is preceded by a very specific event. You remember how I've talked about the problem with chapter and verse numbers in the Bible? How they very subtly train us to divide material up as if each new thing were somehow disconnected from what came before? This is what happens in the Gospel of Luke. The first part of this story is in Luke 20, and the second is in Luke 21. So listen now to the whole story, because they really are meant to go together. In the hearing of all the people, Jesus said to the disciples, "Beware of the scribes who like to walk around in long robes and love to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces, and to have the best seats in the synagogues and places of honor at banquets. They devour widows' houses, and for the sake of appearances say long prayers. They will receive the greater condemnation." He looked up and saw rich people putting their gifts into the treasury. He also saw a poor widow putting in 2 small copper coins. He said, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all of them, for all of them have contributed out of their abundance, but she out of her poverty has put in all she had to live on." You see, the story of the widow's mite is a living commentary on the conduct of the scribes, some of the religious leaders of the temple. And the contrast could not be more stark. Scribes walking around in long robes, enjoying the recognition and status that comes with their position on the one hand, and a widow placing 2 small coins in the temple treasury, a far more significant offering than the ones from the wealthy. Jesus depicts the scribes as devouring widows' houses. This widow is living proof of his words, for he knows that what she has put in the treasury will fund not only legitimate temple activities, but will also line the pockets of the scribes. So at least 2 things are going on here. First, Jesus is intentionally giving the scribes another poke in the eye. Notice the detail that Jesus says what he says about them in the hearing of all the people. He's in their place of business, and he's calling them out by name, and it's a sure bet that they were listening. This is not calculated to insulate him from criticism. In fact, it only heightens the tension between himself and the authorities, who are already looking for a way to arrest him. It serves to increase the antagonism that already exists between them. Second, Jesus is pointing out what is wrong with worship at the temple. It's not a condemnation of temple worship or of the temple itself. Rather, it is a pointed critique of those who control worship there. And because he has said it in a very public place during a very public major religious holiday, when pilgrims from all over the world would have been in Jerusalem, it serves to remind us, even as it was a reminder to the ordinary and faithful people then, that religion that puffs up is never appropriate. To quote the Epistle of James, which is a fitting commentary on this passage, religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to care for widows and orphans in their distress, and to keep oneself unstained by the world. When we return tomorrow, Jesus shares one last meal with his disciples. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.